call the school board meeting to order. Duke, could you take roll?
Yes, I will. Ms. Ludwig?
Here.
Mr. Micko?
Here.
Mr. Naso?
Here.
Mr. Evans? I'm here. Mr. Roseanne?
Here.
And Vice President, counted for, sir.
Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an appointment of a treasurer pro temp. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, George. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. This is because our treasurer is out and our second treasurer is out, so now we have Duke. They're all both just temporary for the evening. Everyone will be back shortly. But Duke will be the treasurer if we have to have a vote. So I guess you're going to have to take roll again.
Okay, let's see. Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Oh, sure. Did you have any comments or anything?
That was my comments.
Oh,
Anybody
okay.
have any comments?
Mr. Grozan
concerns?
said yes. Ms. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Micko?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations.
How'd I do?
Congratulations. Treasurer for the night. District goals. This is the part where every board meeting, we talk about our district goals. The first one is student achievement, which is the primary goal, and it's what the focus on everything that we do is. The second one is financial prudence, and in that, we try to maximize every taxpayer dollar and use those dollars to maximize goal number one, which is student achievement. And then the third goal is community engagement, and we utilize our community and all their talents and all their time that they donate and all the gifts that they give us to better either reduce our spending or improve student achievement. And we're very fortunate that we have a lot of community members who help us on a ton of different committees and a ton of different donations and a lot of things, and we're very thankful for that. With that, that moves to recognition, our favorite part of every meeting.
We do have a number of recognitions tonight, and first, it's my privilege and honor to introduce Mr. Rodwell King. Rodwell will go to the podium. We basically spent 3 years together, didn't we, Rodwell? We did, and so one of the things that we worked on as a part of the middle school project is LEED certification, so I'm going to turn it over to Rodwell to explain a little bit about what that is, what we've achieved at the district through our collaboration with GPD, and the recognition that the district is receiving. So Rodwell, thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I was just remembering about the last time that I was at a board meeting. It was in the old building, and I think we were talking about change orders or bids or something. Really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm here tonight is to officially hand over the plaque for LEED Silver certification of the building. I have a letter from the President and CEO of the U.S. Green Building Council and Green Business Certification Incorporated. And I'll just read one paragraph. I'm not going to bore you with it all. But LEED certification identifies Strongsville Middle School as a showcase example of sustainability and demonstrates your leadership in transforming the building industry. In honor of this impressive achievement and in appreciation of your participation in LEED, we're pleased to present you with the enclosed certificate recognizing your accomplishment. So I have a certificate and a plaque. So, basically, that said it in a nutshell. The building is designed to be very sustainable. As you know, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission requires a lot of sustainable elements to be built into the design when and if you get your couple of bucks from them. And obviously, we followed all the rules, and it took a while, but you know, the threshold for LEED Silver certification, there are 4 levels. There's certified silver, gold, and platinum. The minimum requirement from the OFCC is silver. The passing grade for silver is 50 points. We got 53, so nobody ever asks what grade you get in school, so it's fine. Yeah, so it's a great achievement, and At the time I was doing Strongsville, I was also doing 3 elementary schools in Lakewood, and we got the same lead silver in those. So
And
it's
I
a good
remember-
achievement.
Rodwell, I remember when we were going through the design and we talked about what lead level were we going to target for, and we targeted for silver because the next levels of gold and platinum were incrementally, the cost benefit wasn't, we didn't see the cost benefit of getting to those levels. I can see, there is a benefit to it environmentally, but the cost of the taxpayers exceeded the benefit we thought. So that's why one of the reasons we aimed for silver, we got silver, and we're glad we got it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
that was really good.
It's
I
one of
also
the
wanted
hoops.
you to take back to GPD that and I remember the original process when we were selecting, as part of the interview team, when we were looking at who we were going to have as our architect. And we selected you guys because you were extremely good and your presentation was outstanding and what you delivered was outstanding. But what we never thought we were going to get was such a partner with GPD. I mean, GPD has been in the turf project. We just got a $20,000 grant from GPD. They've donated and helped us on every time we don't even ask, and GPD comes forward and helps this district. And we just want to
Absolutely.
thank you for everything you've done, and please take this back to your team, and just let them know
will.
how thrilled to death we are with GPD, and we would recommend them 100 times over. And I'd like George's got some comments, I'm sure, because he worked the closest on this project, but I just wanted to bring out what a great part. When we talk about community engagement, GPD's not necessarily even in the community, and they've been very engaged and very helpful, so thank
Well,
you.
we have staff members living in the community, so
Yeah, I know, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for putting up with me for 3 years. I mean, it was 3 years of meetings
you
and every
didn't pay
single
me
meeting.
enough. But I did it anyway.
You couldn't be paid enough to put up with George. for
Agreed. The one thing I will say about GPD is that we always had our own ideas. And we had our own bid processes. We wanted to do certain things. Sometimes Hammond would push back. We knew that we could come to you, have a conversation, and you'd help us through the whole process. I mean, we had 2 different superintendents through the whole process. We had challenges on that site, multiple challenges. You always found a way to save the taxpayers every dollar you possibly could, and you designed a building. I mean, how many other communities have come through and looked at that building and how proud we are of that middle school? We can't say thank you enough. I mean, now we're housing 6th, 7th, and 8th grade kids in that middle school. We're providing 6th, 7th, and 8th grade kids the opportunity for honors classes, different environments, different opportunities, and a lot of that came down to, we sat down and we put a plan together, and then everything from that plan, we built onto it. So, Bravo, thank you for everything that you've done for this school district, and thank everybody at GPD for what you guys have done.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Congratulations.
This is quite a nice piece
That is very nice.
Don't drop it.
Don't drop it. It's heavy.
I'm going to get a chain for it. Just wear it around.
Yeah.
There's some mounting hardware in the box, which Steve Bregner's got. You also get this certificate
That'll be great.
and the leather. So, perfect.
Thank you so much for everything.
Appreciate it.
Don't be a stranger. Come by and visit, huh?
I still want to stop by and have a beer and drive.
You're welcome to.
Do that.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you. Good seeing you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, we have Mr. Andy Jalawan, Athletic Director of Strongsville High School, to share another powerhouse season for our track and field team. So Andy, take it away.
Mr. Iba, Mrs. Palco, members of the school board, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to recognize student achievement from our athletic program. It's been a great year for the Mustangs this year, and it's always a great way to end the year down at the state track and field meet. The OHSA does a lot of great state tournaments, but none better than the state track and field meet. If you've never been, it's definitely one of those events you should try to get to, not only to see how well run it is, but also to support the Mustangs. So they had a great showing down at the state track and field meet. Northeast Ohio, and particularly our conference, had a great showing. It really highlighted the competition that we go up against throughout the whole season when you're seeing 3 schools from our conference on every podium and other schools from Northeast Ohio. So it really highlights not only our program, but definitely the competition we're going up against. So to talk more about our achievement down at the state track and field meet, I'm going to first bring up our head boys coach, Chris Koval.
Again, I'd like to thank you for providing us the opportunity to, for me at least, to speak tonight in recognition of some really awesome guys and Strongsville student athletes. Unfortunately, you could see that they're not here behind me between work schedules, and I believe 4 of them are out of town right now. They weren't able to make it, so I'm still going to talk about them because they're awesome, and I believe they deserve it. So this year, we qualified 13 athletes to the regional qualifying meet at Amherst, and at that meet, 6 guys qualified to the state championship in 5 different events, and that's pretty remarkable. And all season, they really stepped up, and as Mr. Jawan said, the competition from our district, or from our conference alone in some of these events, like for example, in the 4x1 relay at the state finals, so the top 8 teams in the state, top 9 teams in the state, 4 of those teams were all from our conference, which is just impressive. It's very impressive. So I'm going to get going, and I'm going to talk about our state qualifiers. Taylor Griffin was a state qualifier in the 4x2 relay. Taylor is a team points leader, as well as a mainstay in our sprint relays and in long jump. Mitch Horg, state qualifier in the 4x2 and 4x4 relay. Mitch was a regional qualifier in high jump, 300 hurdles, and the 4x4. At the state meet, I made some changes and pulled one kid out of the 4x2 and added Mitch. It was the first time he ever ran in the relay, and he did very well considering it was the biggest stage he could possibly be on. In addition to that, Mitch is also our points leader this season, scoring a total of 192 points, and he was also our field MVP. Jack Malszewski, state qualifier in the 4x2 and 4x4 relay. Jack is a team points leader and top 400-meter guy on our team. Jack Mott, Jack's one of those guys, I think he's on his way to Aruba right now, which is a pretty good place to be, I guess. This season, Jack received first team all-conference honors in the 800 and second team honors in the 4x4 relay. In the 800-meter, Jack finished first at the district, 4th at the region, and completed his season finishing 9th at the state championship. So he just missed the podium. Jack was also named the team distance MVP. Last 2 guys. Joe Gillette is a member of our state qualifying 4x2 relay team, and he also qualified in the long jump. Joe had a huge accomplishment this year. He kind of set a goal midway through the season, decided to commit himself to long jump a little bit. He has lots of opportunities. He's a heck of an athlete. You'll remember the name from football, I'm sure, and you'll see it again this year. But his accomplishment this year was he set a school record that was last set by a young man who went to Cincinnati and ended up playing in the NFL for a little bit, DJ Woods, and he jumped 22 feet, 3/4 of an inch. And then Joe was also a regional qualifier in the 100-meter dash, just missing our school record by 0.02 of a second, which I know next year he'll be able to do that, hopefully. And and he ended up 5th place at the region, so he didn't get to go to the state. But again, the competition was incredible, and he just missed that opportunity. And then last but not least, Riley Anderson is a member of our state qualifying 4x2, 4x4, and 400-meter relay. He qualified in 3 different events. He did not run in the 4x2. He was the guy I took out so that he would be fresh for his open 400. Riley received second team all-conference honors in the 400, placed first at the district, second at the regional, and ended his season on the podium in Columbus with a 6th place finish. The 4x2 relay of Jack, Malszewski, Griffin, Anderson, Gillette, and Horrig earned honorable mention at the conference. They took second at the district, 4th at the region, and finished the season 15th in the state. Our 4x4 was our best finish in the meet. We, Jack Malszewski, Mitch Horig, Jack Mott, and Riley Anderson were first in the district, first at the region, and they completed their season on the podium in 4th place in Columbus. So I just want to congratulate those young men and wish Mitch good luck in college. He's going to try to continue his track career, and he's still trying to figure all that out. But the rest of the guys were all juniors, so I get to have them back for one more year, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then I'd like to congratulate the girls' track program as well, as they have continued to dominate in so many different levels. And I'm also going to sell our track club a little bit, because we have a couple girls who are competing that were state qualifiers, and they're now competing within the track club, and they are regional qualifiers. They'll be leaving here and heading to Columbus to compete at the regional meet for that. So good luck to those girls. And I'm going to bring up Mr. Reese to talk about the girls.
If this was a Survivor show right now, I would have been voted onto the island. Coach Cerrone's not here today. Mr. Jawan was going to speak, I thought. So I came to watch. I don't get to watch. It's all right. I'd rather stand up here and say some nice things about a bunch of kids I really enjoyed having around. Congratulations to the boys team. They had some outstanding performances. Went down to the state track meet, did their thing, and it just keeps rolling. To be perfectly honest with you, if you have an opportunity to set something up and just let it go and try to get out of the way once in a while, kids are amazing. Just let them go do their thing. So here's what we got. The girls team we thought was going to have an opportunity maybe to struggle a bit this year, because we are looking at some younger kids and this and that, and you know, and as it turns out, as Coach Koval said and Mr. Jawan said, our conference is ridiculous, just to be honest with you. The girls team finished 4th in the conference, were runners-up at the district meet, and then were runners-up at the regional meet. And then we're 11th at the state meet, and we're 4th in their own conference. That's crazy. There's a lot of talented kids around, a lot. The 4 young ladies that you see in front of you today represent 2 seniors, a sophomore, and a junior who had an opportunity to go to the state meet this year and compete, along with 2 other kids who aren't here. One finished 3rd, she's not here, and the other had a great experience as a sophomore this year, running in the relay with Carson here. Carson qualified to the state meet in 3 events, if I'm not mistaken, right? So she's running in the 100, she's running in the 200, she's running in the 4x1 relay as a sophomore. And that experience of being able to go down there and the athleticism that it takes to be able to do that and compete against the kids that she was literally stuck having to compete against is an amazing feat. So I really look forward to being able to watch for a couple more years and hopefully get to go some crazy places with you. Thanks. Carson Cobb. Aaron Sievers. Aaron, this is the second time Aaron's been here. Last year we came, Aaron had a great year as goes to the state meet as a pole vaulter and finished 4th last year?
Oh, next year was
6th. 14th last year? 14th last year. This year makes it back to the state meet and finishes 4th. After a year of very hard work, a gigantic commitment by both herself and her parents in trying to achieve some things that she wants to be able to do. So her opportunity to be able to do the things that she loves to do has gotten her to this place right now. She also competed in the 4x1 relay. So now here we are with sophomore, junior, another sophomore who's not here, and another junior who's not here. So hopefully, as I've said a minute ago, this whole thing just keeps rolling. We get some more younger kids from the middle school, and Coach Koval is doing his thing with the AAU track here in the summer, so it's working out great. Got a couple of seniors here. Drew Robinson this year. Drew this year goes and does some crazy things at the end of the year with throwing the discus. All of a sudden, the discus is 120 feet, 135 feet, 140 feet. She breaks the school record like 3 times. Breaks the school record 3 times of the lady who's coaching her, by the way. So, yeah, so that was awesome. So she goes to the state meet and finishes 4th as well. So it's just one medal after the next. Drew's on her way currently to Kent and having some negotiations with the coach as far as, being able to walk on and then hopefully finding a way to talk him out of some money and see how that works out for her, So that's perfect. Drew Robinson, great job, Drew. I missed saying Aaron Severs, nice job. Last, Mackenzie Green. These last 2 kids have been around for a while through a couple of conference championships, a bunch of district appearances, some regional appearances. Mackenzie's on her way to Butler right now, and that's no small feat just to get in the place. And she's going to go there and compete as well. And you want to be a doctor? Does that mean I'm going to get a discount? Oh, then no, I guess not. Dang it. Mackenzie's run the hurdles for us for the last 4 years. She's competed at a very, very high level. This year finished 9th, just off the podium at the state meet, and it bothered her tremendously. And I look forward to having an opportunity to see how you do at Butler and to see where you go from here. Mackenzie Green, thank you so much.
You guys got to run the gauntlet, sorry.
Sorry.
Great work. Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations. Good luck. Congratulations. 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 Mr. Koval. Thanks. Yeah, you're stuck too.
Long jump. At Albion, I remember that.
Thank you for all
And then she's back,
Won by half of the boys' team. Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job. So, our track programs are just off the hook. They're so good, and the coaches are so dedicated, and it's just fun to watch. My daughter participates, not at that level yet. Hopefully, you guys can get her there, but really impressive with the dedication and the way you guys are committed to the sport. And I'll tell you what, it is I don't know how, if you run track, you're tough as heck, because the weather is just god-awful. This year, I even saw Reese in long pants. First time I ever saw him in long pants, ever. And that's how cold the weather was this year. I don't think there was one, until you got into the end of the season, there wasn't one nice night. It was freezing cold every night. So if you're out there running, busting your butt in that kind of weather, you're tough, and they are. So nice job, and thank you very much. And I do remember Carson at Albion, at one of the track meets, I watched her break her leg and she did the long jump. And I remember she broke her leg, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then the next season, she's right back at it, no hesitation, no holdup, no nothing. So that's a tough kid, and a tough sophomore is going to be fun to watch for the next few years.
My only comment's going to be, congratulations to the students, right? You guys do all the work. You guys run, bad weather, have to listen to the coaches. But we got to take our hats off to the parents. When you're freshmen, when you're 6th, 7th, 8th grade, freshmen, sophomores, you can't always get rides with upperclassmen, right? So your parents are taking you back and forth, and it's the dedication of the entire family to get these kids where they're at and to fulfill their potential. So thank you to the students, thank you to the coaches, thank you to the parents.
Thank you, everyone. Phenomenal job, and you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if I were you, this would be the time where I'd go home for the evening. Thanks, guys.
Nice job, Reese. That brings the superintendent report to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Ney. So at this time, I'd ask Steve Bruckner to come up to the podium. I thought it'd be good for Steve to give an update of all the summer projects, construction that's been going on. There's been a lot of activity around the district, and so Steve's going to come on up and share some updates.
Good evening, everyone. So if you've been driving around the district at all, you can see some of the projects are already visibly underway. The first one that of course is visible is the paving at the elementary schools. So the current state of that is every parking lot, with the exception of Chapman, has already been milled. It's scheduled for paving tomorrow at Kinsner and Sarar, and hopefully those are done, of course, weather permitting. And then next week, they'll continue through and pave the rest of the parking lots. Chapman has not been completed because they were putting a gas line in over at Chapman. That was completed today. So the gas company is done. They did all of the landscaping, put everything back in place. So now that's available for Chagrin Valley to mill and then pave. So optimistically, I know I'm on TV here, but it should be done within about 3 weeks. And then the striping will take place. According to the contract, they're responsible for parking lot striping, and then our guys will take care of the playground striping. So that is on track. The second project is the HVAC at Chapman. Now that the gas line is run to the building, and you can drive by and see the meter and everything there. The equipment will be delivered the second week of July, so very soon here. You're going to start seeing some workers on the roof over there cutting the intrusions into the building, putting the ductwork that is scheduled to be redone. They'll be doing all of the prep work there. And as soon as that equipment gets there, they're going to be going through and replacing the air condensers and the VAV boxes in the individual rooms and getting that contract completed. The last one is the secure entryways. I've been working with Roger Riachi with that. Everything has gone out to bid, and those bids will be coming back, and I'll be showing those to you as far as where we're at and who we chose to do the different trades. That work will commence the second week of July. All the bids are to come in, and then they'll be awarded. And that is going to be a project that once it starts, it is going to go fast to get those secure entryways done. So that's externally. Do you have any questions about the third-party projects that are happening?
I just had a quick comment. The thoughtfulness and the quality of work that your staff is doing right now. A few weeks back, I believe 3 weeks, we were at Kinsner. And if anybody goes to the back side of Kinsner, where the loading dock is, there was a retaining wall that was falling. And then we also have a spot where we have a dumpster. Well, instead of putting the dumpster right onto asphalt and having it just lay out and create divots, our guys from within our staff rebuilt that retaining wall, did an amazing job, laid a large pad of 6-inch concrete so that we can put a dumpster on there and not have the forks chew up the asphalt. That was the thoughtfulness of the staff and Steve on how things are getting done today. It's just astonishing to me on how the quality of the work and what's getting done and the time frame that's getting done. Congratulations to you and the staff for the quality of work you guys are doing. I know we've got a sidewalk project that we're looking at in Muraski. We're getting a lot of things done, and the quality of the work is top-notch. Congratulations to you guys.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the segue. I was going to talk about the internal projects that we're doing. Just as a side note on that retaining wall, It was needed. We were also able to put some drainage in, which was the issue. When it was originally done, drainage wasn't linked in, and the water was actually causing and pushing on that wall, knocking it over. So we put drainage in, we put a concrete wall there for a fraction of the cost. It was originally bid out when we went to an outside source at about $17,000 for the work to be done. We were able to do it for under $8,000 internally. So just another example of the maintenance crew that we have and the great work they can do. Also, if you wouldn't mind at some point driving by Whitney, the front entryway, there were some issues. It wasn't draining properly. We weren't able to get some of our snow removal equipment down some of the sidewalks. They were too narrow. Students were standing very close to the curb where buses were pulling around. It just was not enough room, and it was causing some issues. So what our guys internally were able to do was extend that walkway towards the building. They regraded that whole front entryway, so now it drains to new catch basins and new drains that were put in, and the sidewalk was extended next to the building so that we can run some snow removal equipment through there effectively. So that standing water that was coming off of that overhang should not be standing water any longer, and it looks very nice. At some point, I'm sure I'll be presenting you with projects that were done this summer, and definitely those are two highlights of what the guys have been able to do. Next up is the sidewalk at Muraski. We're still deciding, depending on what we find when we rip up some of the concrete walkway, which side it's going to go on. But we're going to be putting a new walkway in there while we're there. We did have the Muraski swamp. Well, the swamp has been drained, I know. There you go. But we still do have some drainage issues when we have a large volume of water going there. So we're going to take advantage of the talents of the maintenance crew and go ahead and rerun some drains and connect to some catch basins that are there to eliminate that issue. Same over at Whitney, and then also over at Sarar, redoing some drainage. So that should take us to about August, and then I'll go around with Keith, and we will look at the details and make sure that it looks as nice as it did last year for the first day of school with the mulching and the weeding and the landscaping. So that's our plan for the summer internally as well.
Steve, do we have all the permits we need from the city for the containment areas?
Yes. Yeah, we've been working with the city. I've been talking to Joe Walker often. Because of a lot of what we're doing is maintenance, we do not need to pull permits, but I do keep in communication with him just in case, and I want to keep that relationship good between the city and us.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent.
Thank you,
All right.
Steve.
Thank you. Nice job.
And that concludes my report to the community.
All right. That brings us to public comment. I see no public comment slips. Kind of hard to say. Public comment slips. I see none. Approval of minutes. We have the May 3rd, 2018 regular board meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Duke. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Any discussion on the minutes? Duke, can you take roll?
Yes. Yes. Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Excellent. That brings us to the treasurer's report. Item 10.
For the treasurer's report,
I'm delegating.
he's delegated to me.
Excellent.
We have a number of items to close out the fiscal year. We do have, under A, approval of new funds. We did receive 2 new grants, the literacy grant and the strategy secondary transition for students with disabilities grant for your consideration there. Under B, we have approval of new funds for fiscal year 19, which can be found in Exhibit A. Going back to the approval of new funds, here are the actual grants. As we shared in other communications, the district received a $1.2 million grant from the Ohio Department of Education for the literacy grant. Year 1, the amount is there that we need to approve, as well as $1,972 for the secondary transition grant.
And that's just 1/3 of the grant.
That's 1/3 of the grant, correct. Going on to D, transfer of funds and advance funds. Be it resolved that we transfer and advance those funds as listed in Exhibit B. This is an annual measure to finalize the funding and the budget and the allocations for 18 and getting ready for 19. We do have some adjustments in E to the student activity program budget, purpose, and goals revisions for fiscal year 18. Boys basketball had a financial adjustment as listed there. Girls tennis, baseball, middle school Pirates team, and Maraski Student Council had adjustments to their purpose and goals, and all of that can be found in Exhibit C. Under letter F, student activity programs, uniform school supplies, public school support, internal Rotary funds, and local grants. The proposed budgets for fiscal year 19, we're recommending that they be approved as listed in Exhibit D. Fiscal year 18 amended permanent appropriations. Be it resolved the recommendation that these appropriations for fiscal year 18 be approved as stated in Exhibit E. And then as we get ready for the next fiscal year, the temporary appropriations be it recommended that they be approved for FY19 as stated in Exhibit F. This is the month where we need to take into consideration our contract with our food service company, Chartwells or Compass Group as their larger organization. So be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the contract between Strongsville City Schools and Compass Group USA Incorporated by and through its Chartwell division for the management of the district's food service program be renewed effective July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019 as stated in Exhibit Z or G. And Mr. Naso, this requires a vote.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Any discussion? We had a presentation on the Chartwell program and the progress being made in that program, I think, last month. And with that, if there's no other discussion, Duke, can you take roll? Is there-
Yes.
Any discussion?
Any others?
Just make sure.
Okay. I made a motion, yes. Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next, district-wide inventory of assets. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that Strongsville City Schools retains Asset Works to conduct a complete inventory of the district's assets as found in Exhibit H. This is something that needs to be done on a semi-frequent basis. Asset Works would come in and actually go through all of our district facilities, all of our district properties, and update our inventory of all of our district assets. And that would be utilized by our Treasurer's Department for accurate accounting of all of our assets and inventory.
Yeah, it's just it's something that's done on a recurring basis. Most corporations will do it every 3 to 5 years. And it's just another component of our internal accounting control system that we make sure that everything we get is still here, and we'll continue to do that.
And that contract can be found in Exhibit H.
Thank you, Cameron. Well done.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Treasurer Pro Tem. Under Student Services, North Coast Therapy and Associates, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the Board of Education enters into an agreement with North Coast Therapy Associates to provide occupational physical therapy services for school-age and preschool students with disabilities for extended school year, as shown in Exhibit I. Extended school year is the services we provide students that qualify with disabilities to receive support and services in the summer months. And that concludes the full treasurer's report, unless there's any questions. Under superintendent's report, timely information, this again is an annual, although we've moved from days to hours and we typically will never have a need to go into contingency calendar, we do need to approve it annually. So we have selected June 3rd through June 7th. Should we need to add school days to the calendar due to a number of calamity days, that those days would be used to make up missed days as a result of weather or other calamity.
My kids would be very mad at you if that ever happened.
Tell them to join the line. Number 2, calamity day alternative makeup plan. So going back to the makeup day plan, the only grade levels in the district where we get close with the hours is half-day kindergarten and preschool. So what we do is through the state, we are allowed to make up a certain number of days, 3 days, through blizzard bags. So what this says is, be it resolved upon my recommendation that the Board of Education authorizes the Calamity Day Alternative Makeup Plan for 18-19 school year, as stated in Exhibit J. What this says is we would use blizzard bags for our half-day kindergarten or preschool students, prior to having them make up any school days. So it gives us an additional 3-day buffer should the weather be severe. And then finally, a resolution for an additional tax levy for the purpose of current expenses. So we've talked about this over the past 2 months. Again, the recommendation is for a 7.9 mil continuous levy to be put on the November 2018 ballot. This is the second vote that is required to approve and move forward with that ballot and putting that levy on the ballot. So a resolution determining to proceed to submit to the electors of the Strongsville City School District the question of an additional tax levy for the purpose of current expenses pursuant to Section 5705.21 of the revised code, and the full resolution is stated in Exhibit K.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I do have a comment.
Okay.
This levy has nothing to do with this board or this administration. This levy has everything to do with Mr. Kasich and the Cleveland Clinic. Columbus has seen fit to remove our budget, the dollars that come from the state to us, even though this town pays more into Columbus than what we get back. If you look at cities, Cleveland, Akron, Youngstown, Cincinnati, their version of what they pay in and what they receive is monstrous on the opposite side of what Strongsville gets. If they didn't pull our money, we wouldn't have had to have this conversation for another 3-4 years. So this is not our fault. This is not what we want. Our hand was forced, and this is the reason why we're here today. I think everybody in Strongsville needs to understand that the stronger the schools, the better our schools are, the stronger our community is. And it's unfortunate that we have to have this vote today.
I'll only just add to that by saying that, you know, we want to keep these schools strong. We want to keep all the programs that we have. We want to keep everything that we're doing. We're moving forward, and we don't want to stop. This levy lets us do that. It's, you know, it's just that simple. We just want to keep this thing going. I thought about it, you know, coming up to this vote. Were there any other ways, trying to find another way as a CPA, tear the numbers apart again and again and again, and there's just no way to save our way out of this. But what for me, it's just about, we just need to continue this education. When I go back to graduation day and I see kids going to MIT, I see them going to Harvard, I see them going to, you know, Princeton, I see them going to these great schools, and then I look at, you know, some of our special need kids and the education that they're getting and the life skills that they're learning and what we're providing there, and then the safety that we're providing our students going, you know, on every end. So you look at the spectrum, you look at the safety, we're doing everything we can do, and we just don't want to take a step back. And so we're going to ask the taxpayers to think about that, and they've been gracious to us in the past. We pray that they will be again, and we just ask for their generosity and their commitment to the district, and let them know that we're doing everything we can do. So that's all I got. Any other comments, Richard or Jane?
I will just add that I look at it just a little bit differently. At the end of the day, we're asking for the taxpayers' investment, and we need to provide information on what they're getting. And in my opinion, we're at a point where the three things they're getting are safety, technology, and opportunity. If you've watched the news today, you know that the world we live in is changing rapidly, and we're going to need to be able to invest and continue to maintain our safety. We've done quite a bit this year in response to various concerns, and I don't see that changing. So one of the things I think we're going to be investing in, or asking the voters to invest in, is safety. We've committed to technology to maintain the education for our children, the kind of education we want for our children today and in the future. We need to maintain that commitment. That's what this levy is about. And then the last one is opportunity, and it's just a way to say what Carl said. We have a plethora of opportunities for our students, and if If we would have to gut the program, we would lose those opportunities, whether it be the AP programs for our brightest, whether it be the different kinds of special ed programs for those who need that, whether it be the wide gamut of programs we have at the high school, whether it's the DECA program, the industrial arts program, all of those different programs. That's what I mean by opportunity. That's what you're buying with this levy. I think it's important, and nobody wants to pay more in taxes, but I look forward to earning the investment of the taxpayer and letting the taxpayer know that in Strongsville, their money is well spent, it's not wasted, and it pays dividends. So I think, at a certain point, we have to stop looking backward at what happened, and we have to look forward and say, this is what our principles are, this is what that money buys the taxpayer, this is what that money buys the residents of Strongsville, and we're going to earn that trust and we're going to earn that investment. Thank you.
One final point. Every dollar from a tax, and every dollar from a levy stays in our schools. The money that they've taken is income tax money that you pay, your state taxes that you pay. That money goes into a fund, it's divvied out. We get less of that than we put in. But as far as a levy goes, if you support this levy, every dollar from this levy will come to our schools. It won't go anywhere else. So just to be clear on that, they can't take our levy money. So basically, we're going to carry our own water, and we're going to pay for our own kids. That's what we're going to do. So just want to be clear on that. We need to take a vote then?
Yes. Yeah, I made the motion, so I vote yes. And who seconded? Was it
George.
George?
Yes?
Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on, next to our business service report, we have Steve Breckner with the report for this month. Steve?
Good evening again. A couple items on the agenda for tonight from Business Services. The first one is to authorize to enter a contract for waste removal and recycling services for the 2019 through 2021 fiscal years. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves entering into a contract with Republic Services for waste removal and recycling per the Ohio State Council bid award. Estimated annual cost for these services is $42,000, and that's Exhibit L. The next item is district insurance. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the operations manager be authorized to purchase property, inland marine, boiler and machinery, crime, automobile, general liability, and umbrella insurance from Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. The agent is Todd & Associates Incorporated, as endorsed by the Ohio Schools Council at a one-year contract price of $285,937 for the period of July 1st, 2018 through July 1st, 2019, which includes all school groups. Last year's cost was $283,977. Be it further resolved, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the Board of Education recognizes the following groups as authorized school groups, and they are included in the Strongsville City Schools Insurance Policy: Strongsville Council of PTA, Strongsville High School PTA, Strongsville Middle School PTA, Chapman Elementary School PTA, Kinsner Elementary School PTA, Muraski Elementary School PTA, Sarar Elementary School PTA, Whitney Elementary School PTA, Strongsville Early Learning Preschool PTA, Strongsville Early Childhood Preschool PTA, the After Prom Committee, Strongsville Booster Club Athletic, Strongsville Hockey Association, Strongsville Music Boosters Choral Division, Strongsville Music Boosters Instrumental Division, and the Strongsville Education Foundation, Exhibit M. Item number 3, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Strongsville Board of Education approves RFC Contracting Incorporated to perform owner representative / consultant services for the summer paving projects at the quoted price of $45,000 as listed in Exhibit N. And that does need a vote.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane.
Steve, can you tell us what the original estimated cost of replacing the driveways and all the asphalt at the elementary buildings were?
The original cap was $950,000.
And what did that number go to finish up the parking lots?
The awarded bid number, 280, I want to say 285,000, but
Well done.
okay.
Well done.
Can I have a vote?
Okay. George?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Me? Yes? Mr. President?
Yes.
5-0.
Continuing, the next item is People Transportation Agreement. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the operations manager be authorized to enter into an agreement with Suburban Transportation Company Incorporated for the 2018 through 2019 school year for transportation of special education and handicapped students within the Strongsville City School District to in-district schools and also classes at schools out of the district. Transportation to in-district schools will also be provided for students becoming homeless while attending Strongsville City Schools and now residing outside the district. This agreement is put into place due to the impracticality of transporting these students by Strongsville City Schools bus transportation, and that's Exhibit O. Item 5, bus bids awards. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that bids be accepted for 5 conventional unitized, which means complete unit, buses as received by the School Bus Cooperative Purchasing Program of the Ohio Schools Council as listed in the exhibit. Be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that bids be accepted from Cardinal Bus Sales and Services for 5 72-passenger conventional unitized buses for $433,780 as listed in the exhibit. Funding shall be as follows: 5 72-passenger conventional buses provided by the Permanent Improvement Funds in the aggregate principal amount of $433,780, and that's Exhibit P.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second by Duke. Any discussion?
Steve, can you explain to everybody why we need to replace 5 buses?
Just from the age of the fleet, this is something we've been doing for the 2 years I've been here, and I know before I was here. We replace it at 5 buses a clip. What we have changed, though, is we're going from 65 passenger buses to 72. We'll do that for a few more years, and then we'll start backing off how many buses we need because we'll be able to accommodate more students on the buses that we have. We're just in the middle of converting over. Various reasons to buy 5 buses, the majority of it being the buses that are the oldest are reaching the end of their life. Panels are starting to rust out. As our mechanics look over the buses, they have to go through inspections. We start to see which ones are getting close to the point where they're not going to pass inspection anymore. And what we started doing is also when it gets close to that end of life, instead of just settling to scrap it, this year what we've been putting an emphasis on is selling those at public auction and getting substantially more money for those than we would have if we had just scrapped. So that also plays into it, whereas before we may have run it into the ground, so to speak, and just got scrap out of it. Now we're identifying these buses and recouping more money by selling them. Towards the end of their life, they've done a great, they've lived their usefulness for us, but now it's time for us to move on and have some newer buses.
And the inspections are done third-party, correct?
Ohio
State Police.
Ohio State Safety Patrol, Highway Patrol, sorry.
And they come in and they do inspection, top, bottom, every single section of the bus?
Yep,
For the safety of the children?
that's correct.
Okay.
Steve, just for edification, how many buses do we have total in the fleet?
Right now, 80.
80. So with doing 5 a year, is that a sufficient replacement schedule?
That is.
I had a question. There's some interest around the state of installing seatbelts in buses. I know that's not a requirement now, but should that become a requirement, how much of a problem would that be to retrofit our buses with seatbelts?
Not at all. In fact, Lori Sinek and I have been talking about with the preschool and having to do an additional route. We'll be able to convert some of the seats in current buses to 5-point harnesses for students. So it's not an issue to have those harnesses installed. Basically, they fit and they strap on the current seats and secure. So we don't have to do a whole retrofit. We just have to purchase the belts themselves.
Okay, great, thank you.
No
Do you have an opinion
Almost always. About what?
about seatbelts? Even though it's not a requirement, should it be something we're considering?
We are considering, and it will be something that comes up as we, like I said, with the preschool students. It's something I'm looking into the cost effectiveness of it, but also realizing you're talking about safety. So at some point, we're going to have that larger discussion, Cameron and I, with the cost of having seatbelts on the buses and putting them on there.
All right, without that, Duke, take a roll.
George?
Yes.
Me, yes. Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Motion passes 5-0.
The last item for business services, item number 6, and these are gifts. The Optimist Club of Strongsville, Ohio donated $1,000 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Daryl and Helen Vig donated $325 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. James Stumpf and Barbara Hoekstra donated $25 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Kevin and Tracy Joniak donated $100 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Jody Largent donated $1,020.20 for the class of 2020 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Andrew Rebels donated $1,000 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Jennifer Norris donated $25 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Marilyn Windle donated $10 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund. Jane Ludwig donated $500 to the Strongsville High School Piano Fund.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Jane.
And that concludes
We're
the
getting
business
closer.
services report.
Thank you, Steve. And just so everybody's aware, under Andy Heyer's direction, there is a fundraising effort to raise the funds to purchase a brand-new baby grand piano for the high school. The approximate cost is $35,000. In addition to these generous donations, the Rotary Foundation gave a significant amount of money right out of the gate to get the project going. If you're interested in donating, all of the music teachers, although on summer break, have a flyer. I have a flyer. You're more than welcome to contact me. Or if you go on our district website and search for Pay For It, under the fundraising section, that you could electronically. We have no service fee on that, so electronically, if you want to donate $25 on up to $1,000 or any amount you want, you could do that through the Pay For It system and contribute to that grand piano fund, which would be an outstanding new instrument for our music department as well as the community to use as they use our facilities. But not till July 2nd. You know, with the change of the fiscal year, it shut down for a little bit. So yeah, if you're looking to donate online, July 2nd would be the time to take a look back.
And the old piano's going to the middle school, correct?
Yeah, well, we look at the old piano. It's, I believe, about 35 years old. It's served its purpose well. So what we would be looking at is it would take some funds that we can handle in the district instrumental music budget to do some refurbishing and repair of the piano. It's been kept in good shape, but it would go to the middle school to be used in those classrooms and on that stage. Moving on to curriculum, Erin's enjoying a vacation at this time, so I'll step in for her. Under item 1, Ron Stewart's and Associates, be it resolved the recommendation of the superintendent that we enter into agreement with Ron Stewart and Associates for consultative services for entitlement grant funds for the period of July 1st, 2018 through June 30th of 2019, and that's found in Exhibit Q. Just to give some context, we get a variety of federal grants that provide services to students with disabilities, students that are learning a second language, improving teacher quality, Title I services, and there are a lot of requirements that need to be filled out through the state and managed, and Ron does an outstanding job. He's been affiliated with the district through this contracted service for a number of years, and so we're recommending the continuation of that, and that's paid through Title I funds. Number 2, Admetum Solutions, be it resolved upon the recommendation that the district purchase the Admetum Solutions curriculum at the rate of $135,384.74. This is the program that we utilize for our Strongsville Academy. Actually, we save money by reducing and keeping our students in Strongsville and providing an online platform to them in-house. Ohio Online is a similar program, but provides that for our elementary students. Admetum is for our secondary students. So this would be to participate in the Ohio Online Learning Program through the ESC of Cuyahoga County at an approximate cost of $60,000 for the 18-19 school year. Number 4, the textbooks for College Credit Plus. We are required by law to pay for the textbooks as a district for any students that participate in College Credit Plus. And so we're recommending that we pay for those through Cuyahoga Community College at an approximate cost of $40,000 for the 18-19 school year.
Cameron, I have a question on
Sure.
that. Do we regain or retain those textbooks at the end of the year?
We do. They're bar-coded. There's a checkout. Mr. Tomino's done a phenomenal job of working with the media specialists at the high school to get those books back in. The challenge we have, if anybody remembers taking college classes, is the professors like to change editions frequently. So we do have a library of college textbooks. We've worked with Tri-C to talk to the professors of pacing, the updates to it, but we're at the mercy of the college professors. But we do retain them and submit them to new students should the syllabus remain the same for those
I
textbooks.
would imagine that all the other districts that send their kids to Tri-C or wherever have the same issue.
Correct.
Do we ever go as a group back to Tri-C and say, time out, stop changing your textbooks?
We have. There's opportunities where we meet with Tri-C, and they've been a good partner, and they've worked with their professors, but at the same time, it is a professor's discretion. Brian, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but has it gotten any better?
It somewhat has gotten better. The one area that we're still having issues with are the online piece, because that is new and that is something we are still paying for, and we can't get a handle on that, nor will the university. They feel that every student should be using the online access. The actual paper textbooks, they have gotten better. They in their introductory courses, they are trying to use them for 3-4 years, as opposed to when I first started, it was every year. Sometimes it would change by semester. Tri-C's been pretty good. Lorraine as well has been pretty good about that. But when you start getting into a lot of the niche courses or more advanced, that's truly the instructor's prerogative. But the more generic courses, college composition, they've been very good about one text and trying to keep that for a year, 2 years.
Can we use any of these books for our advanced placement people?
We have some of the teachers, when Tri-C switches the books, we will then go to our staff and say, how can we utilize these? So we are trying to put them to use. The district has purchased them, and they
Okay.
are, still very usable. So we will do that, depending upon the need and the courses and the ability of the students. So we do have books in reserve in our book rooms for that purpose as well. So we try and make the best of it as best we can.
Okay, good, thanks.
And there is legislation that's out there. It hasn't been approved, but there is legislation to make the textbooks a 50-50 split, 50% for the school district, 50% for the parents. So we'll see if in the next round of voting whether that happens or not. Next, we have, or continuing on the next page, page 15, we have annual updates of a lot of our student handbooks. So we've got the early learning preschool, the elementary school, middle school, high school handbooks, as well as the high school athletic handbook in items 5 through 9 for your consideration. Number 10 is the 18-19 student fees. Again, we look at those with our teachers. We look at how we can reduce our fees and make sure that we're utilizing everything accurately. Over the past few years, we've significantly reduced our amount of fees that we've charged, and we feel that these are reasonable and necessary for the 18-19 school year. We do have an overnight trip for your consideration for the high school football team to attend an overnight camp July 23rd through 25th at Mount Union University. The transportation will be via school bus, and costs associated with the trip will be paid by participating students, as well as the Strongsville High School boys golf team to travel to Grove City to participate in the Pinnacle Classic Golf Tournament August 31st to September 1st. Transportation will be provided by district van and parent vehicles. Costs associated with the trip will be paid by fundraising activities. And that concludes curriculum, unless there's questions. Next up, we have Director of Student Services, Andy Trujillo, with his report for the month.
Good evening, members of the board. We have 5 items for your consideration this evening. The first being a contract with ASG Educational Services. They provide what's called the LEAP program for a student that might need an alternative path in education. We have approved this contract for the past few years and never utilized their services. It's kind of just a proactive measure in case a student next school year would need this type of program. So we proactively get it approved. So we could just go into that if a student needed that. Number 2 is Solutions Behavioral Consulting. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the Board of Education enter into an agreement with Solutions Behavioral Consulting for the 18-19 school year to provide consultation for students and consultation for training for staff in the area of behavioral intervention services, as shown in Exhibit S. Number 3 is the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County. This is for the Positive Education Program for school year 18 and 19 in Exhibit T. Number 4, we have the STEPS Academy. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, that the Board of Education enter into agreement with STEPS Academy in the amount of $72,000 for placement of a student with disabilities for the 18-19 school year, as shown in Exhibit U. And lastly, number 5, we have a settlement resolution.
That resolution requires a vote. I assume we've all read it.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jay. Any discussion? Everybody's familiar with it? Okay. Duke, can you take roll?
Yes. Yes. Jane?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have
Next up, we have Jenny Palco with the Human Resource Report, and she's going to go to the podium because we're excited to announce our recommendation for the new Chapman principal. The first test is, will she hang around for an hour and 10 minutes before we get to her agenda item, which she did, so that's awesome. So I'm going to turn it over to Jenny to share our new recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Riva. Good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to announce tonight on the agenda I have Miss Amy Moore for your consideration for our new principal of Chapman Elementary. So Amy, if you could join me here at the podium. Amy comes to us from the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County. She's worked there since, I believe, 2013 as an educational consultant. She's worked as a district literacy initiative administrator, a national educational consultant for Max Teaching and Reading and Writing. Prior to that, she worked in Brunswick as an elementary teacher for 14 years. I had the privilege of having her daughters at Center when I was the principal there. Abby has graduated this year, but we still have Allie, and she's going to be a junior, right? Junior, next year at our high school. So Amy does live in Strongsville, and we are just thrilled to have her. Her parents are here, very proud parents, so thank you. And you know, throughout the interview process, you know, she just stood out. Her instructional leadership is just second to none, and we're thrilled to have her leading Chapman. And she is so dedicated already to this position that I called her this morning, and she was in Chicago, and she flew home to be here tonight to meet all of you. So congratulations, Amy. I'll let her say a few words.
Thank you. First, thank you to Mrs. Pelko and Mr. Ryba and the board and Strongsville City Schools for this opportunity to become the principal at Chapman Elementary. I've lived here all my life. My parents graduated here. My girls go here, so it's really, I'm super excited for the opportunity. I just want to help this staff and the students at Chapman to learn and grow and get their great Strongsville education. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Again.
Congratulations. Thanks for being a Mustang.
Welcome back.
So moving on to my report this evening, I have the following items for your consideration under Human Resources. Under E1, we have the reduction of force of a certificated staff member, reductions in force of non-certificated bus driving routes. Under E2, resignations of certificated staff. Under E3, we have the retirement of a certificated staff. Under E4, the appointment of an administrative contract for Amy Moore for elementary principal. We also have the appointments of certificated staff members. And I would like to highlight Alexon Bixler, who is in the audience. She is going to be working at our preschool, I believe at the Chapman site. At the Chapman site, yes. So she will be one of our new teachers. So thank you so much. Again, you passed the test too for sitting here at this meeting and
Well, come on up.
and
Shake
being
your
here.
hand.
Come on up, Allison.
Come on up. Come on down.
Congratulations. Thanks for being here tonight.
Congratulations.
Welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
And continuing under E4, I would like to also highlight Audrey Smolik, who is sitting right next to her. And
Come
she is
on
going
up.
to be a new teacher at our middle school teaching math and social studies. So come on up, Audrey.
Come on up.
A little taller. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, and continuing under E4, I have the appointments of extended school year, appointments of certificated supplemental contracts, appointments of certificated supplemental contracts, appointments of non-certificated supplemental contracts, and the appointment of a non-certificated staff member, appointments of our Jumpstart program, and appointments of certified testing consultants. Under E5, changes in hours, temporary for non-certificated staff. Under E6, I have the changes in status of a certificated staff member and changes in status for certificated literacy coaches, changes in status for non-certificated staff members. Under E7, I have a change in salary of certificated staff members. Under E8, we have the stipends for a resident educator coordinator, stipends for technology coaches, stipends for teacher-based team coaches, and our webmaster stipends as well. Continuing, we have stipends for 2018 spring athletic tournaments. Under E9, I have a contract recommendation for certificated limited contract. Under E10, we have a disability leave for a certificated staff member. Under E11, medical leaves for certificated staff and medical leaves for non-certificated staff. Under E12, we have an unpaid medical leave for non-certificated staff. Under E13, sabbatical leave for certificated staff. Under E14, volunteer chaperones and volunteer coaches. Under E15, I have the employment agreement, and this does require a separate vote. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves and enters into an agreement regarding the employment of a staff member, the terms of which have been reduced into writing and provided to the board.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. Any discussion? Duke, can you take roll?
Yes. Yes. George?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
5-0.
And finally, under E16, I have the contract recommendations of non-certificated staff continuing contracts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Nice job. That was a lot.
That was, it's a busy.
We've been busy.
Jenny's done a
Yeah.
phenomenal job, and the principals and our directors, for only having, what do we have, 3 teachers retire?
Yes,
3 teachers retire. I think we're up to 20 new hires.
almost 20, but we had several resignations, as
Yeah.
you saw, so that led to it, and
Yeah.
the improvement of the literacy coaches, which was
Yeah.
exciting. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent.
Well, I'll tell you, the enthusiasm I felt from the ladies, all 3 of them here tonight, is excellent. Really appreciate that, and I know the kids will love it too, so.
And Colonel, I appreciate you bringing that up. And, we interview a lot during this time of the year, and I think we had 6 interviews.
7, if you count. Amy came back.
That's right, 7 today. And to be honest, after a while, sometimes you lose track of who's who, but Audrey and Allison stood out, and I will always remember them from just that interview, because not only does it give the show of character and passion and drive they have for our school district and kids by being here tonight, but they got me excited in the interview process based on what they're going to bring to our district in the future that they have. So Thrilled to have them as a part of our district as well as all of our other new staff. And I think it says a lot about who they are as educators that they took time out of their schedule to be here tonight. And I don't know where your mom and dad are, or your parents, but
They were smart, they left.
next time bring them along. We'd love to meet them too. But thank you, girls, for being here.
Thank you.
And we do not have any items for technology today, so that ends the superintendent's report.
All right, that brings us to the report on Polaris.
Thank you. I have a couple of shout-outs that I want to share. Our Polaris Career Center Compass Summer Edition is coming out, and everybody should be receiving it in the mail shortly. And I just want to highlight that the cover is dedicated to the 2018 Polaris Students of the Year, and that's John Sprague and Daria Utariarova. I hope that's somewhat close. But they are both Strongsville graduates this year. They both were the Students of the Year at Polaris. John was in the Criminal Justice Program and is going to go on to do great things. And Daria was in the Dental Assisting Program. And just to give you an example of the kinds of things you can do when you go to Polaris, she is currently employed at Hudec Dental, and she'll be continuing in college and doing a great job. In addition, I want to highlight in the Compass, it talks about a program that our medical students engaged in this year. You know, as a partnership, I got to remember the exact name. It was a partnership with the Royal Oak Residence, which is a old folks home in Middleburg Heights. And our students went there for 16 weeks. They partnered with a resident there. They did, was a art therapy type project. Each of the students got to know that resident, got to know what it was like to work in that field. It solidified for a lot of them their passion about their future careers. We had a presentation at our last Polaris board meeting. We met 6 of those students. They all want to go on to either be nurses or somehow serve in the medical community, and they all loved the program. The one story that was, very profound and a bit of a tearjerker, one of the young ladies who was in the program, the person she was assigned to passed away 2 weeks after the program ended, and it was so moving, not just for the resident, but for their family. They brought that artwork to the wake because it was part of her final days. So it's those kinds of things are really moving, and those are the kinds of things that happen day in and day out at Polaris. The other thing I want to comment on is we had Rodwell here doing our LEAD program. We're in the middle of construction at Polaris. We had a tour a week ago. It is empty. The school year ended and construction started. Everything has been gutted. It's just amazing how quickly it's working. And it's an interesting process because when we built the middle school and remodeled the high school, we were in the catbird seat as far as having a project for the construction community. Right now, with what's going on at the Q, with what's going on in school construction in general, there is a little bit of a switch on who negotiates. The construction people, there is more work than there are bodies to do. And it's really a testament to our construction people, A.M. Higley, that they're getting the tradespeople and they're working and they're busy so that we can be ready in the fall to bring the students back. I did want to give a thank you and a shout out to Frank Fabrizi, who is our rotating board member. He's from Strongsville, and he's just been a great asset during the construction project, bringing his business knowledge to it, and just giving that peace of mind that the project is on track, the project is on budget and on time. And it's a lot of fun to see him. When we were going through it, he was looking at the drains, he was looking at everything. We had a question with the drains, and he followed up, and he's like, "We got to make sure to get those drains fixed. We don't want to shortcut the foundations. We want to do it right." So I'm really excited that this project's coming along, and it'll be great for the students at Polaris. And that completes my Polaris report.
We'll move on to legislation.
The Ohio legislature did finish, finally selected a Speaker of the House, so they were able to get back to business. There has been a plethora of activity. You've probably seen some of the news dealing with the payday lending and things like that. The one House bill I want to highlight is House Bill 342, which may be well-intentioned, but they want to change the wording and how ballot language for property tax levies and bond levies is done. And it's ultimately just going to make it even more confusing for a voter to make an intelligent decision. We've been in communication with Senator Dolan to let him know that we don't support this, and we're going to keep on watching it. But I wanted to thank Cameron for sending a letter and thank Duke for sending a letter to let him know that making the process even more confusing and more hard for the voter to understand what they're voting on isn't helping anyone. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Brings us to board liaison reports. Jane, City Council?
Okay, thank you, Carl. We had one city council meeting since our last meeting, and actually Cameron spoke and gave a discussion about our finances and discussed the levy. They also honored Cheryl Bushman, retired as a police dispatcher after 38 years of service, so that was very nice to have presented her with flowers and a plaque. But something of significance, on the ballot in November, there's going to be a lot of things to vote upon for the city. They're changing the charter, or they're asking to change the charter, and there are 8 amendments that are going to be covered on that. So I urge you to either go to the city website, or the Post had a great article boiling everything down. And it's a lot of cleaning up kind of things, but if you're interested to be a well-informed voter, I encourage you to research those items. And then lastly, the 4th of July fireworks, courtesy of all of our generous businesses in the city of Strongsville that have donated. It's no city funds are used to put on the fireworks show, and that's at Fultz Industrial Parkway at dusk.
Thank you, Jane. I did read that Post article, and I think every voter should take a look at those charter amendments because, I mean, they're significant, and they change the way the city government will operate during transition, and it's important that everybody take a look and decide which way they want to go. But definitely, please read those because it's important.
Right, yeah, you.
Strongsville Education, well, Jane wanted to continue with PTA and student achievement?
Well, PTA is on break right now, but I encourage all of our new staff members to get involved with their school's PTAs. You'll find we have a very active and strong PTA here in Strongsville at all levels. As you can see from our insurance, we need insurance for all our PTAs. So they usually hit the ground running. They start their meetings in August before school starts so that they can take advantage of doing everything they can to support the staff and the students in our district, so.
While you're on that, Jane.
Yes.
We really are going to need the help of the PTAs for the levy. And so it's important that all of our principals and all of our teachers understand that without the active support of the parents who do have kids in the schools, we're going to have a hard time because there's a lot of seasoned citizens in our communities that are on fixed incomes. So yeah, I'm one of them. We need the help of the PTAs to get the word out about why we need the money. So we'd appreciate that.
Student achievement, I assume
Yeah, we're good.
no summer school report.
No
saw
summer
much
school
of it
report,
tonight.
not
Yes,
yet.
we sure did. Strongsville Education Foundation?
They did meet, they had a phone conference a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join the phone conference, so no
Nor did
update
I.
this month.
Okay, that brings us to board committee. There was no finance committee meeting. We had a policy committee. We have a number on second reading.
We can't wait for the next meeting.
Yes, yes. Facilities committee?
We had a meeting on on the 21st, June 21st, at Maraski. We were able to walk the building a little bit, take a look at the older section of that building, take a look at the parking lots and, how they've graded and they've done that kind of stuff. Our next meeting is in July.
I think we skipped July, I think.
That's right, it's August.
Yeah,
So we'll be back in August. I'll give a report at that point.
All right. That brings us to the consent calendar. I do have one item, 11B2, district insurance, that we need to vote on separately because I need to abstain from the vote. My sister works for Todd and Associates, not on that account, but just to be safe, I always abstain from the insurance vote.
Mr. Naso, I'd like to have E4, Melissa Kelly, removed and voted separately.
E4,
Supplemental contract.
got it.
Is it under human resources, E?
Yeah.
Yeah.
E4?
Yes.
Okay.
So 11E4. Okay, we'll start with 11B2.
Do you want to do the consent calendar, or do you want to do the individual items first?
Consent calendar first.
Consent calendar first, okay. Let's vote on the consent calendar with the exception of 11B2 and 11E4.
So
Give
moved.
'em- Can I have a second?
Second.
Duke, take roll.
Okay, George?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Me? Yes. Carl?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, now we'll go to 11B2, which is the school insurance item. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Duke, can you take roll?
Sure. Yes. Jane?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Carl?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, motion passes 4-0, one abstention.
All right. 11E4.
To be clear, I think we need to state this is for only Melissa Kelly for assistant basketball cheerleading coach at Strongsville High School.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Before we take roll, for discussion purposes on that, I'd just like to say that although I know what's about to happen, I'd just like to say that my daughter participates in this program, and she enjoys the program, and I find Melissa to be a very, very fine coach. Can we take roll?
Other discussion?
Any other discussion? No, take roll.
Yes.
George? Jane?
No.
Richard?
No.
I'm yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2. Okay, I think we're at executive, no, you got a
Board
Board
policies.
Board of Education, other.
Now we have.
No, board policy, second
policies.
reading.
Yeah,
Board of
I don't know if they're
Education,
doing
other.
anything with them.
Mr. Nay, so first we have board policies, second reading, 17.
Yep,
79.
doesn't require a vote.
Nope.
18, Board of Education, other. I have one other. You have one? Go ahead, Duke.
Quickie. Yeah, 4th of July is coming up. Just a reminder for everybody, be careful with the fireworks. Fire hazards, and they can blow up your hands, so be careful.
Okay. I had the pleasure to speak at it's called Project Yes, and it's supported by the Cleveland Rotary. And it is a challenge to high school students. It's open to any school, and it's empowerment through sailing. So what it is a program they select, you just put in an application, and essentially pretty much every student who applies gets to go. They had about 20 applications this year from all different schools throughout Cleveland. There was some from Brecksville, some from Rocky River. And they spend about 3 weeks after school learning leadership skills and skills about sailing and knot tying to navigation, to all those types of things for about 3 weeks. Once they graduate from that course, they spend a week, and they're going out on July 4th, and they'll be back on the 11th, but they sail on one of the tall ships. So it's a pretty cool 7-night sailing adventure out on Lake Erie, and they break into crews, so they've got like 3 different watches, and they're responsible for all the activity and all that on the ship. And it's a pretty cool program, and I would just something maybe to recommend that we look into. You know, it's not for everybody, but it's kind of geared toward people who may not be going on to college, but are going to go into the maritime industry, or maybe going on to college, but just want to learn the skills. So it was a cool program. Through my port role, I got to speak to the class, and I got to talk to about maybe 10 or 15 of the kids afterwards, and they were all excited. It just seemed like a cool program. Might be something we might want to take a look at. And that's it. That's all I got for that. Happy 4th of July.
I have another.
Okay.
I just wanted to encourage everyone, there is a section of the Vietnam Veterans War Memorial that is being on display at the Tri-C campus in Parma. They just opened it up, and it's a phenomenal thing. If you can't make it to DC to see it there, please go to the Tri-C campus and take a look at that. It's very moving.
A moving wall.
It is a moving wall.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
It's probably a little early to talk about back-to-school shopping, but I did want to highlight that the state of Ohio has a sales tax holiday. It starts, thanks to online shopping, it starts Friday, August 3rd, 2018 at 12 a.m. and ends on Sunday, August 5th, 2018 at 11:59 p.m. And sales tax, you're exempt from all sales tax for clothing priced at $75 per item or less, school supplies priced at $20 per item or less, and school instructional material priced at $20 per item or less. So with the Cuyahoga County sales tax rate at 8%, you probably can save quite a bit of money if you make sure to shop from August 3rd through August 5th. And I'll send Dan the link so we can get that updated on the website. Thank you.
We have a meeting, we have meeting notices. There's a meeting Monday, July 16th, and another meeting on Tuesday, July 31st. Note that's a Tuesday, July 31st meeting.
And a Monday.
Oh, and a Monday and a Tuesday, yep. I do believe we have need for executive session.
Yes, under 2 items, to consider the employment of a public employee or official, as well as to review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a vote?
Yes? George?
Yep.
Jane?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
We'll go into executive session at 8:40. We will not have any public business when we resume. Thank you very much. Have a safe and happy 4th. Welcome our new teachers. We're excited. And principal, thank you. And with that, we'll